So when is the most stressful time of the working week? Tuesday at 11:45 is the answer.
And welcome back to today's Right Stuff with me, Matthew Wright, and them, Jerry Springer and Diamond Anton Dubek. Still to come this morning, who cares if celebrity magazines lie? One magazine tells you Brad and Angelina are getting married, another they're splitting up. Is it just entertainment? Does no one care about the truth? 027 173 5555, that's the number for your thoughts. Talking of thoughts right now, I'd like them on stress. We're asking if it's a 21st century disease or a 21st century cop-out. Stress-related illness cost this country more than all the strikes and industrial unrest of the 1970s. Stress is now the single biggest cause of absence from work, with 13.5 million days lost each year. They reckon it costs the economy nearly £10 billion a year. Public sector workers seem to suffer most. Police officers, health workers, teachers, civil servants, they're the most likely to take time off. And if you think all this stress is because we're working harder than we used to, we don't. The average Brit works something like 1,700 hours a year. That's these days. That's about as long as a 13th century peasant spent toiling the land, but only half the time your typical Victorian grafted for. So is stress a genuine affliction? Even on that score, experts seem divided. Some claim stress is a real and debilitating condition. Anxiety, panic attacks, headaches, eczema, insomnia, depression. These are all symptoms I get watching the Jeremy Vile show, but it's the same. Others, though, argue it's an elaborate sham promoted by the multi-million-pound stress management industry. We shouldn't be trying to medicalise a basic human condition. Rather than turning people into sufferers, we should be encouraging them to confront their issues and overcoming them. That registrar we talked about the other day, Teresa Davies, OK, she got 4 months off work for stress because she didn't want to conduct civil partnership ceremonies. And then there was the gay postman, Liam Black, signed off work with stress after his boss called him girly. Sticks and stones, eh? And what about more complicated cases? Police officers or soldiers taking time off after being exposed to hideous amounts of violence and bloodshed. Do they deserve time off for stress, or is that just part of their job? Is life more stressful these days, or are we a nation of pansies? Stress. Anton, what do you think? Are we more stressed these days?
I probably think we are, actually. You'd certainly hear about it more. I think some of this, of course, is that we didn't sort of know about this sort of thing years ago.
We just got on with it?
Yeah, we sort of just cracked on with it.
Why don't we just get on with it again?
Well, because we know what it is now. And that goes for a lot of things in the old days, you know, things like dyslexia and other illnesses of the time. Again, you know, how can you, a chappie who gets sort of bullied at work, compare to a guy on the front line coming back from Iraq or something?
You could choose a doctor on A&E working, what is it, they get 4.5 hours sleep on average, right? Their stress levels must be up here, and that is their job. That is what they have to do.
Absolutely.
And then someone, a registrar who doesn't want to conduct a certain type of ceremony, is so stressed out by that action she takes 4 months off work. Now...
I don't know. I think people have got to choose the right job for them. I think it's quite important as well.
That's the key, isn't it?
I think life. I think you've got to know what your job is.
Our expectations are higher. When we were working in the fields in medieval times, we didn't expect to live over 40, and we expected a really rotten life, actually. And it doesn't mean that that's what we want to go back to. There are two different types of stress, I suppose, probably many different. There's
real stress and
incontrovertible stress. Yeah, there's stress that, you know, there's bereavement and divorce, and as well as fighting in Iraq and working like a junior doctor. And then there's the stresses which may be more self-induced because your expectations are so high. You're working yourself flat out because you must have a swimming pool and 3 cars in the garage and all the rest of it. And, you know, and actually, if you actually just took... if you just took a step back and said, no, I'm going to decomplicate my life and I'm going to deliberately de-stress, maybe there's a way forward. And just not expecting too much.
You must be surprised. You must be surprised by the number of stories you read every day, every week about people getting time off work for stress.
Yes.
And I mean,
no, I mean, I've always worked through all the stress I've gone through. Well, you have to, don't you? And to a certain extent, that keeps you anchored.
Being a mum, midway through delivering a baby, you just think, actually, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm stressed out.
No, you can't, exactly.
Put it back in. In fact, let's forget I ever had...
Yeah.
I mean,
But, and that's actually, funnily enough, I talked about the difference between real stresses and maybe self-induced ones. You have to work through real stresses. You just have to keep going. Yeah. So maybe we should. It's about an attitude of mind culturally. As no, get on with it. Get on with life. And if you're finding it too stressful, fix the stress. Don't moan about it.
Okay. What's up with you two today?
Oh my, this is Springerism. It's beginning to get to me.
Do you notice the difference between British people and American people in terms of stress, Jerry?
Don't talk to me, I can't stand it!
Standing there at the Cambridge Theatre waiting for the spotlight.
Too much tough questions. No, frankly, I think both our countries are exactly alike. Just the accent is different. What I find because I am always asked the difference between American culture and British culture just because of the nature of what I do. There is a greater difference between wealthy people and middle-income people than there is between Brits and Americans. What I mean by that is wealthy Americans are a lot like wealthy British people. They're closer to them than they are to middle or lower income Americans. In other words, the class differences are greater than the international, the geographical differences. So that's what I would. A working class British person is just like a working class American person. I don't find any difference in the culture at all. None.
So are American workers just as prone to take 4 or 6 months off work when something comes up that stresses them out?
Well, no, but that is just because the law. You can't. I mean, it's not even.
So you can't get signed off for stress.
Well, if you have a real, I don't know the details of this woman that didn't want to do gay marriages, but unless there's something specific in her medical condition.
So it's religious views.
Well, that's not stress. That's.
She was bullied. No,
she wasn't bullied. She became stressed because of the situation.
She doesn't.
She was demoted afterwards.
Yeah, well, that's a specific case with a specific rule. The rule makes no sense. Don't have that job then. Period. If you are religiously uncomfortable with performing gay marriages and that's part of your job, then don't take that job. Period. I'm Jewish. If my job was to be a taster of pork, I'd probably say, you know what? I'm not going to take that job. I'll be around pigs, but I'm not going to eat a pork.
Identify what the stress is and fix it, for heaven's sake. Even if it means walking away.
Yeah,
but I don't think that's America versus England. That's just a crazy
I'm just interested as to whether it's a peculiar British disease at the moment, because 20 years ago I don't remember any stories about people being signed off
They used to suffer from yuppie flu once upon a time. Do you remember
that?
And that was the new thing, and then it developed into, we recognised what it was. I think the stress situation is the same, but I agree, as I said before, I think it's the nature of what you do and the situation you put yourself in, and if it gives you a real problem, change it.
But do you think we're using it as an excuse more?
I think we use it as a way of dealing with the situation in the wrong way. We say, I'm so stressed I have to take time off work, or whatever it is. Well, you probably do, but then don't go back. Get another job, and then you won't have a situation again. It's the repeating of the situation, and that for me makes
It's expecting others to
concept.
fix the situation for you.
As well.
You've got to deal with your own stress, haven't you?
Yeah. I think it's just getting free holiday. Honestly, I really do. In a vast majority of cases, it's just people skiving off.
But in fairness, we should say that there is such a thing medically as depression. That's not an imagination. There are people that are clinically depressed. And we can't be making fun of that.
But depression is a huge catch-all word, from bipolar, manic depression, in which people are very clearly debilitated, and even if they wanted to come into work for the sake of everybody else, you wouldn't want them there because they might be going through a very... So down to people who take a day off work because they're feeling a little bit blue.
But no one's in favour. Right, there's no argument there. No one's in favour of that.
The argument is it real? Proper stress, real stress, your man off the front line, the policeman dealing with riots, all those sorts of things. Proper stress, fair enough.
Yeah. OK, let's throw it open to you. Is stress becoming a British disease? Let's hear what you have to say. Kirsty?
On line one, we have Sarah, who has taken time off from TWStuff.
Morning, Sarah.
Oh, good morning.
Hi there. So what do you know about stress, then?
I was off in 2005 with work-related stress. I work as a teacher.
Yeah.
At the time, I was actually having night terrors. I was seeing my boss stand over me with a knife. She was spying on me from work. But really, I'd like to say...
What was actually happening, Sarah, what was actually happening that led to you having these thoughts?
It was a slow build-up from the very first term with this head. She told me I was a liability as a single mom. I had to take time off with my son. He threw up all over my shoes. She wouldn't let me take a couple of hours out to go and see him in his nativity. It slowly built up from that, and she chipped away at my confidence. I'm usually a confident, strong person.
So you worked with someone you didn't get along with?
Yes, I did.
Or worked for someone you didn't get along with?
Yes, yeah. But I am off work again.
Okay. Stress again?
No, this time I'm actually off. I've been diagnosed with a disabling condition. And I would just like to say, really, I've experienced stress as a disease, but I can also see why people would use it as a cop-out. Just from the two varying experiences I've had with both absences. When I was off with work-related stress, everybody left me alone. I didn't get any calls from human resources other than to offer me counselling.
Nothing at all?
Nothing at all, no. My union said they're not to phone you, they're not to come out.
How long were you off for?
I was off for just over 8 weeks that time.
No one called in that time? I find that
No one called from school.
And now you had this...
Not allowed to.
And now you have this medical condition?
I have a medical condition. It's a disabling condition. And this time I had phone calls. I've had to go to over 8 occupational health appointments. I've had to justify why I've been off work this time. So I can quite easily see why some people would rather have work-related stress on their medical certificates than a genuine medical disabling condition. The treatment has been so different.
Isn't it extraordinary? I suppose that people leave you alone, because it's the length of time people get off work for stress that I find so extraordinary. Sarah, thank you for the call. Wish you better soon.
We have Angela, who's a therapist on
Angela, good morning.
Morning.
So what do you know about stress?
Well, basically, there are very appropriate conditions at the moment for people being stressed with the job market and the economic climate, but it is a choice to be stressed. It's something we learn from day one. It's a strategy. We learn how to run it. We become very unconsciously competent at doing it, but it is still a choice, and people can learn to choose to react differently to situations.
Are more of us making a choice to be stressed then?
Definitely.
Why?
Definitely.
Why? Is it because you get a free holiday?
Well, I don't think it's about getting a free holiday. I think people genuinely think they are feeling stressed, but it's because basically the basic definition of stress is when you want the situation to be different than it is. So people focus on either the future or they focus on the past, and what they don't learn to do is understand they can't change the situation now. What they need to learn to do is to be calm about it and work through it until they get to the point where they are in a situation where they want to be.
OK, so it's not about the free holiday?
It's not about the free holiday.
There's not much point me putting in a claim for it, then. Angela, as a therapist, I have a confession. I quite enjoy stress.
And some people do, and it absolutely works for them. But I think some people just get into a cycle where they can't get out. People build a brick wall around their problem, and on the other side of the brick wall is the solution, but they can't get to it because they just enclose themselves in their problem, and they get more and more and more stress, which is why you get the 4 months off work stress. But it is a choice. They can choose to react differently.
OK. And 4 months, do you think that's an appropriate length of time to deal with stress?
No, I don't, because I don't think it's very healthy to be stressed for 4 months. Right. I think that people should be getting help sooner. I think people should be asking for help sooner. People should be looking at why they're feeling stressed. 4 months is not appropriate to be off work. And it may be that somebody thinks they genuinely are stressed for 4 months, but that's just not healthy for anybody.
OK, fascinating. Thank you, Angela.
The thing about stress, as Angela just alluded to there, was as soon as you're diagnosed, or as soon as the situation that it is stress has been recognised, you need to start working on it straight away, because it's like a physiotherapy for the mind. If you don't do anything about it, it doesn't improve.
Absolutely,
the situation doesn't improve. It actually gets worse because you go more into yourself and into a hole. The brick wall becomes higher, and you have to find a way around it. So dealing with even simple tasks like getting out of bed in the morning, and you have to go from there. And without that, you will never recover.
I think that it's too general a term, stress. There's some you know, you can get all the therapy you want and talk every day, but if every day you get up and your kid's really sick, or you're dealing with something that's terminal, or you're dealing with, you know, real disasters or something like that, it's not going to be like, well, if I can just get...
Yeah.
You know, some people, when we say stress at work, well, there's a lot of work to do, et cetera, but there's an end to that. You could deal with that, but some people have stress in life where it's... You know,
absolutely.
the bad thing isn't going to go away.
But it's trying to
and
work
waking
out
up every morning
finding
with that.
that way. I know somebody very close to me that has a daughter that is special needs. Now, every day of that person's life, they wake up and their daughter is there. Now, she is finding a way to deal with that and make the life better for her daughter.
Sure.
Now, that's an incredible way of... She could just fall into
Having
a
to
hole
deal with the stress,
and
yeah.
go, oh, woe is me, look what I've been dealt with. But I can't tell you what an inspiration
You
this
step
person
up to
is.
the plate, don't
She's
you? You have to
she's
do it.
dealt with
Find a
situation.
way
She's
to
making
do
a
it,
better
yeah.
life for that girl.
Which
I'm
again
amazed by
throws
her.
into
So
relief
it's the
those
stress. You've got
exactly
to
that
actually
those
deal
that,
with
that
the
take 4
stress.
months off
Yes.
work because there's something they don't like
It
at
won't
work.
always
No,
go
it doesn't,
away.
because
Sometimes
the
it's
situation
something-
won't go away and it
Yeah.
won't change for that person.
But
she's being proactive, and the key is be proactive with it and work towards something. She's doing an incredible thing for this. I tell you, she is the most incredible woman I've ever met, because her drive and enthusiasm and imagination and commitment is like I've never met.
Okay. And relax. What better way than with a glossy celebrity magazine? Who cares if they lie, is our question for the next part. You only have to study the shelves in your local newsagent, not those ones, Anton, the lower ones, to see a lot of celebrity magazines carry conflicting stories. One claims so-and-so is getting married, the other they're getting divorced. And yet, you girls mainly, I think, buy them regardless. Is it that you don't care you're reading a story that's not true? It's just entertainment? 027 5555 is the number of your thoughts. I want to hear as many as we can after a short break.
Which is Britain's biggest selling weekly gossip magazine? Take a break, closer, or okay? Find out after the break.